Hi there, today we're going to cover my favorite iPad Pro feature so far. I'm Alex and I do down-to-earth tech reviews. If you've just bought or are considering buying the new iPad, there are some cool pointers here on what to expect and how to make the most of your shiny new toy. I will also cover some of the issues that I found, both with the software and some design flaws. Yeah, it's not perfect. There are some outstanding features and one or two may surprise you. I went for the 12-inch with 1TB storage and 16GB RAM, and of course with that incredible Retina XDR display. And these are my favorite features, starting of course with performance chip, the M1. Yes, the M1 processor is great, but I don't think anyone has been able to really push this device yet. Using the current apps is gonna take some doing because, you know, even the 2018 iPad Pro, the 2020 iPad Pro are still going strong, but I tried. I wanted to see if it's really possible to work on a 4K video edit on the iPad in the same way that I do when using my MacBook Pro. I know video editing doesn't really rely on the processor alone, but let's play along. I created this 4K timeline on my late 2019 MacBook Pro 16-inch. This is the Intel Beast i9 2.4 GHz 8-core chip with 64GB RAM and the AMD Radeon Pro 5500 graphics. Honestly, this cuts through my 4K timelines like butter. I don't really go crazy with my video editing, but when I do push it with motion graphics and visual effects, this thing can really handle it. The fan, well, the fan works really loudly. But I love that it doesn't slow me down. And even though these are both Apple products, I know I'm not really comparing apples with apples here. For this so-called comparison, I was using LumaFusion on the iPad Pro and Adobe Premiere Pro on the MacBook Pro. Bruh. But until I can get Adobe Premiere Pro on the iPad Pro, for now, this setup would have to do. I'm using footage here from multiple sources, which is usually what I do. Not in every single video, but sometimes I get footage from a drone, stock footage from Storyblocks, for example, not sponsored, but Storyblocks, DMs are open. And sometimes I use my smartphone footage as well. And when I do mix things up like that with different aspect ratios, different codecs, sometimes a screen recording as well, when I add those things up like that, Premiere Pro can get a little bit flustered. So typically I end up using proxies in Premiere Pro, which is a way of working with lower resolution files, but when you render it, it's the real thing. For this video though, I'm not using proxies because I wanted to keep this test as close to like for like as possible. Remember, my Intel MacBook Pro, 64GB RAM, right? It's a beast. So as you can see here, I loaded the timeline on both machines and did the edit to about 10 minutes. I was stacking footage up in the same way, moving from my top-down 4K camera from a Canon to drone footage to Storyblocks footage and mixing it all up on both devices. When I was done with the edit, I do what I normally do, which is render, selecting my usual 4K settings for YouTube. The MacBook Pro finished that render in 19 minutes, almost 20 minutes. The iPad Pro finished the same processing in just over 6 minutes. I'm still shocked. I was skeptical to start with. I've transferred the footage internally to the iPad storage, so I wasn't using off of the SSD. That's my next video. But still guys, 6 minutes versus 19 minutes. I'm shocked. And to back me up on this one, we have a photographer here who in my previous video commented and told me about how a laptop for him doesn't make any sense anymore. This is another example of a real pro who's taking advantage of that bumping performance. To set the scene, he shoots in RAW format and generates gigs and gigs of data per shoot. Understandably, he used to have to go to the MacBook Pro as well for things like frequency separation. Not gonna lie, I totally had to Google that. Basically, he's able to do all these advanced techniques just using apps on the iPad, mainly using Adobe Lightroom actually for his editing workflow. But I followed up as well because he said he was using a 2018 iPad Pro previously, and I guessed that the performance was okay on that, but he came back and said that it is noticeable, especially when applying edits to a large batch of photos. So that's really encouraging guys. I'm really starting to feel very comfortable with that M1 performance on the iPad Pro. Now let's talk about the Thunderbolt port. This is one of the things that I've been dying to try out since it was announced. It is the Thunderbolt port. This really opens up quite a few doors for us from a desktop setup point of view, but also from a portability point of view. By the way, I'm gonna leave 3 channels at the end of this video here in the description for you to check out. Patrick, RJ, and Kevin. They do amazing content on the iPad as well, so worth a sub if you haven't already. But they got shitloads of subscribers already. Sub to me first. Now, to really push the Thunderbolt port, I've ordered this beauty here from OWC. It's the Thunderbolt dock. Guys, this has been out of stock for a long time and I finally managed to get my hands on one. This is not sponsored by them either. It's just an awesome device. I'm going to be using this Thunderbolt dock to connect my several bits of storage and connecting it to my ultra-wide monitor just to make my whole setup a lot more flexible for the iPad. And that's why the Thunderbolt feature for me is one of my favorite additions to the iPad Pro this year. You know what else is one of my favorite features? This gorgeous display. I went for the 12.9 inch, which has the mini LED, aka Retina XDR. And let me tell you, this thing is amazing. The contrast ratio, which is a term you don't really appreciate until you really experience it. I got a similar level of quality on my S21 Ultra and my Sony OLED TV. You get that really nice contrast ratio. And the iPad Pro achieves a great level of detail. The colors are just to die for. And something that not many people are talking about is how great it feels to the touch. It's a simple thing for me, but in comparison to my 2015 iPad Pro, this feels amazing to the touch as well. What the blooming heck is that? Yeah, I'll get onto the blooming thing in a minute. You have to admire it though. And I know from using my S21 Ultra, for example, and people out there who have been using the Tab S7 Plus, for example, those displays are amazing too. And Apple have really taken a long time to push the boundaries on display. And frankly, they've done an amazing job here. It was worth the wait for me. Editing photos on this is just such a great experience. This probably doesn't surprise you, but the photo editing experience for me is nicer on this iPad Pro than on my MacBook Pro. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room. This blooming effect thing. Like everybody else, I went looking for it and yes, it's noticeable. I can't lie. When you run these tests, you do see it. It's definitely there. But what I really care about is when I'm watching content, is it really impacting my viewing experience? And the answer is no. Okay, you're probably thinking I'm an Apple fanboy and I wouldn't dare say anything bad about the product. And yes, I love good quality products and Apple do make quite a few of those. But I really don't think it's that bad of an issue like some people have been making out to be. Look, let's be honest. You can see some shading here around the corners as well when looking at Evernote in dark mode or Gmail, for example. It's quite minimal and really doesn't bother me. But to be perfectly honest, I now see this in every display. But you have to look really closely to see the blooming effect in real apps, you know? And it's got to be in certain conditions as well, like you have to be in total darkness. I mean, who is out there drawing in total darkness? Seriously? I like to keep an open mind on this one, but really, are you drawing white squiggles in total darkness? Just want to highlight as well that what you see recorded by cameras is not the same as your eyes. In real life, the subtitles here, for example, which look very glowy, they don't look like that at all in real life. It's very sharp. Like I said, you know, I want to keep an open mind here. So maybe there are some scenarios out there that I haven't come across yet. So please do let me know if you're experiencing these issues and if it's a deal breaker for you or not. I've been trying Procreate, LumaFusion, Lightroom, Disney, Netflix, YouTube, and for me, using all of these apps so far in what I'd call normal conditions, I honestly cannot see what the fuss is all about. So guys, there's a couple more of my favorite features coming up, but before we do that, let me just quickly remind you, there are loads more iPad content coming up, covering cases, accessories, all of my favorite apps for it too. This week, for example, I'm covering my favorite Thunderbolt dock for the iPad, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. It's right next to the subscribe button, so you don't miss out when it's uploaded. Right, the speakers on the iPad Pro, guys. In my last video, where I shared my first impressions, I was casually mentioning how amazing it felt to me. And the reason I did that was because I really didn't know how good they were in comparison with, say, the 2020 or 2018 models. I mean, I came from a 2015 iPad Pro and I never really even bothered with the speakers on that because I just use my headphones whenever I watch content on it. It just wasn't worth it. It was really very teeny sounds. It didn't make sense. And it's funny that Sergio here in my comments shared with me that how shocked he was when he was considering the 11-inch iPad Pro. He's a teacher, I believe, and he uses the iPad for presentations to a classroom. So not having to carry an extra Bluetooth speaker for him is a big deal. He was at the Apple store having a look at the iPads, and when he hit play on the 12-inch iPad, basically, you know, the music filled the entire 1,000 square meters on the Apple store with clear sounding music. And those speakers are basically what swayed Sergio towards the 12-inch iPad Pro. And I gotta say, I'm not surprised. I mean, I wouldn't say it's as good as the HomePod Mini, for example, as this thing has a decent driver on it with computational audio and all that jazz. But even though it hasn't got the same bass, it's something else. This one was a big surprise for me. And it was for Nando as well here on Twitter. He's another YouTuber. He did this post saying how impressed he was, and he came from a much newer iPad than I did. So I was really glad because it is amazing. and I was just there thinking it was just me. I just love my audio gear, and to have this quality on a tablet was definitely a big bonus for me. I'll be doing lots more comparisons here, so stay tuned for that. I just wanted to throw this one out there. Let's talk about some of the issues now. Starting with the support for haptics on the PS5 controller. Basically, Apple promised this at the April event, but I already did a video on this a few days ago. In short, it's not working yet. I'm guessing we'll hear more in the next few weeks, but I am disappointed. You know, I was expecting that to be ready at least in 1 or 2 games. It's not a major issue, but they basically lied to us, guys, you know. And you can get the full story here on this other video. The next issue for me is a hardware one, unfortunately, is the front-facing camera. I know it's a much improved camera, but the placement is annoying, right? Especially when you're using the iPad without a keyboard or without a stand and you want to unlock it. There's no Touch ID, so, you know, it's either Face ID or password. And this is when the placement of the camera becomes annoying, because unless you're holding the iPad in portrait mode, your hand is going to be in the way. Annoyingly, Apple knows this, right? Their solution was, oh, let's put an arrow here on the screen telling people to move their hands out of the way. Look, sounds like I'm nitpicking here, but it's really an expensive device, and whilst you can't please everybody, I'm not sure putting the camera here in this different orientation is too much to ask. I mean, Samsung did it. File management. Where do I start? I mean, this has been this way since forever. Why can't Apple just sort this out, right? When you're trying to copy something, or, you know, especially if it's a large file, there's no way to tell, you know, how long is it going to take, whether it's crashed or not. The user experience is just horrendous. And because other apps integrate with files as an app, sometimes you just get this unresponsive behavior. It's infuriating. Look, I don't want to sound like that guy on YouTube who just complains about every single thing on the iPad because he can't figure out how to use apps. I know I can get a File Explorer app and my problems will be gone, but given how much Apple have been saying that this is our next computer, okay, they stopped saying that now, but I still think for the iPad OS, we should really be getting a better file management experience. So WWDC, come on, sort it out. Guys, even though it's 1 AM right now for me, I'm having a ton of fun creating this stuff, and I'm working really hard to get more iPad content out for you, as well as my other gear that I want to review as well. So if you like my stuff, it would mean the world if you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you and your smiling faces on the next one. Bye.